Hello, everybody. It's October the 11th, and I'm delighted in the name of the executive team of ByDzyne to welcome all of you to this product training issue, specifically EMF 101 with Marty Grosjean. And we're going to focus again today on this very important topic of EMF radiation and the BD Protect line of products that are available exclusively right here at ByDzyne. This is a great new time to learn some other information about these products that are both stylish, they look good when you've got them on your wrist, as well as the protection that they're able to give to each one of us, whether we're at home, in our cars, or out in public as we're wearing the bracelet on our wrist. Just the other day, I saw an article in the Wall Street Journal talking about this very topic, about how important it is that individuals and families do all that they can to protect themselves from this harmful radiation. And we all know that we're living in a world that is filled with technology and filled with machines and different things everywhere that are producing these rays. So it's great to be with all of you again tonight. We're delighted that you're coming from many different countries. In fact, just so that all of us can see, don't hesitate to drop your country down in the chat list so that we can see where all of you are from. And once again, we're delighted to welcome all of you tonight to EMF 101. And we have an outstanding expert, as we do every few weeks, Marty Grosjean. So Marty, without any further delay, I will turn this microphone to you. We're excited to learn the new information you're going to share with us tonight.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And I am pleased to, again, be invited to talk about EMF protection and the BD Protect products here at the ByDzyne training. It is a pleasure as always. And as you say, Dave, it's an important topic. So it's very, very important for us to learn about it, and especially about the amazing solutions that we have with the BD Protect products that help protect us from EMF radiation. So let's jump right in and get started. So really the main focus here, of course, is the 4 products that we have in the BD Protect lineup of EMF protection products. And we'll dive into each of them in more detail a little later. But just to give you the quick overview, we have the BD Protect Sticker, which goes on cell phones and laptops and other wireless devices. We have the BD Protect Car, which is obviously for the car. The BD Protect Home and Office Kit, which creates an EMF protected zone within an entire home or office. And then the stylish BD Protect Bracelet that protects you from EMF radiation wherever you go just by virtue of wearing it. So that's a quick overview of the BD Protect family. But before we dive too much into the details of the products, let's start at the beginning and ask the question, well, why do I even need to worry about EMFs, or what's known as electromagnetic frequencies or electromagnetic fields? And, the answer to that question is that there have been many scientific studies now over the years that have shown that exposure to electromagnetic fields and EMFs do cause health issues, especially over the long run with prolonged exposure. And as Dave mentioned, in the world that we live in, we are all faced with prolonged exposure to EMF radiation. We all have cell phones, we all have Wi-Fi networks, our neighbors have Wi-Fi networks, all the stores we go to have Wi-Fi networks. There are now cell towers everywhere. With the rollout of 5G cellular communications, there are even more cell towers going in than before. We have smart meters on our homes that broadcast our utility usage out to the utility companies. And of course, we all have laptops, iPads, smart TVs, if you even buy a new refrigerator or oven these days, they have Wi-Fi in them. So there is no escaping exposure to EMF radiation. And in fact, it's just growing all the time. So the reality of the situation is none of us can escape it. And so if there are these hundreds of studies that have demonstrated potential health consequences from being exposed to EMF radiation, that's a bit concerning. And, this slide here just lists a few of the potential issues, or not potential, but actual real issues that were found in various scientific studies. Lowering your immune system response, changing your cellular DNA, hormone levels, things like headaches and sleep problems, cancer. There's definitely been studies linking the type of cell phone EMF radiation that we're exposed to every day to cancer in rats. And this was in a government study. So this is an issue. It's a real issue that we all need to be concerned about. And then some people have to even be more concerned because they might be extra sensitive to EMF radiation. Those are the ones who get a headache every time they try and use a cell phone. They're feeling very uncomfortable when they're around Wi-Fi, or they have a hard time sleeping. It's a small percentage of the population, but there are those people who really suffer a lot. Most of us don't feel it. We compare it a lot to an environmental toxins, something like radon or mold or asbestos, whatever, these things that when they're there in our environment, we're not feeling them, we're not immediately getting sick from them. But over long term, when exposed to them, they most definitely cause negative health consequences. And that is the case with EMF radiation. It's not something most of us feel on a day-to-day basis, and it doesn't make us immediately sick when we're exposed to it. But over long-term exposure, it is most definitely going to have an impact on our health. If you're interested in learning more about what these impacts are in the many thousands of studies that have been done about it, there's a couple of websites listed here at the bottom that have long lists of these studies that you can peruse on your own. Those are also available on the BD Protect portion of the website, on the ByDzyne website, if you're interested in going there later. But plenty of evidence. And again, we all have cell phones. 3 billion people worldwide now have cell phones. 84% of Americans, this is from 2018. I got to imagine that's probably closer to 94% now. And honestly, in most countries that ByDzyne is active, I would guess it's similar. So, just by virtue of owning a cell phone, you're exposed to a pretty significant amount of EMF radiation. So it is not something that any of us don't have to worry about. So what do the BD Protect products have to do with this? Well, the good news is they offer very simple and affordable solutions to protect your health against the negative health consequences of EMF exposure. And there's, as I mentioned earlier, there's 4 different products that you can use for different aspects of your life. The first one being the EMF Protection Sticker. That goes on your most powerful devices that you have that are emitting wireless radiation. Certainly your cell phone and your Wi-Fi router are probably the 2 most powerful in your life. So those, we recommend the EMF Protection Sticker for those. They're also available for any of your other wireless devices. Excuse me. So for example, if your child uses an iPad all the time, for goodness sake, put one on that iPad to help protect your child. Or, if you are constantly your laptop on your lap, put one on your laptop. It's a very good idea. Now, if you have the one for the home and office, and your whole home is protected by the BD Protect Home and Office, then you don't necessarily need to get one for every of the devices within your house, but you definitely will want one always for your cell phone and your Wi-Fi router. So second product here is the EMF Protection Bracelet. That is the benefit of the bracelet is that by virtue of wearing it, it's protecting you from all the EMFs that you're exposed to for wherever you go. So when you go to the store, when you travel, you're going through the airport, you're at a friend's house, you're always going to be protected from the EMFs that you're exposed to. So it's a very flexible way to get the EMF protection. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The home and office kit, again, it turns your entire home or an entire office into an EMF protected zone. And there, all people within that area are going to have their health protected from EMF exposure. And then the last one is, of course, the car sticker, which is specifically turning your car essentially into a protected zone. Now, you may be wondering how these products work. Like, how does it do this? Well, they use what's called a bioenergetic technology. It comes from Europe, and it neutralizes essentially the negative frequencies of the EMF radiation at what's called the subatomic or the quantum level. And by neutralizing that negative energy, when the EMF radiation gets in contact with your body, it doesn't have the detrimental health effects that it otherwise would. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about how all that works. But the process is that you take a device like this is, one of the EMF protection stickers. The first step is that in our workshop in Europe, where the BD Protect products are made, they are exposed to a certain type of energy that creates the sort of neutralization process. And then once that energy is stored on that device, it then broadcasts it forever, basically, into its environment. So that's called the broadcast process. So the EMF protection stickers, the bracelet itself, the metal plates in the home and office kit, those all contain energy that they're sending out into the environment. And that environment may be the cell phone that it's attached to, or you as a person if you're wearing the bracelet, or your entire home if it's the home and office kit, for example. So that's sort of how the process works. But it works on two levels, essentially. So number one is the energy that's stored on the BD Protect product is, as I mentioned earlier, interfering with the negative energy coming from the EMF radiation so that it's neutralizing its effects. But the other level is it's actually sending health supporting energy to your body so that when your body comes into contact with the EMF radiation, it is strong and healthy, and it's not going to have the negative effects that it otherwise would, that we see in many of those studies that we were talking about earlier. So what that means is, for example, it depends on which product. In the bracelet, number 2 here is the sort of biggest energy, the energy that's supporting your body. Whereas, for example, in the EMF protection sticker, it's more about working on the negative energy of the EMF radiation coming from that device. But all products have this combination of 2 levels of energy working. Now, you say, what kind of energy is this? How does it work? Well, it's called quantum energy. And, it's basically anybody who had a physics course in school probably learned a little bit about quantum physics, but it's a subatomic level. What that means is it's below even the world of atoms and molecules and protons and neutrons. So it's not a material energy that you can measure. It is a subatomic energy that sort of happens at the quantum level. So what that means, sort of in a practical perspective, is that it's not actually blocking or altering the electromagnetic radiation itself or the EMF signals, for example, coming from your cell phone or your Wi-Fi router. It's not affecting those at all. Of course, if it did, then those devices wouldn't work properly. So by working at the quantum energy level, which is essentially a level below where the EMF radiation itself is interacting, it can do its work of neutralizing the EMF radiation and sort of sending support to your body without having to interfere with the signals of the actual EMF communications going on. So your devices continue to work properly. A couple other examples of quantum energy in action is in traditional Chinese medicine, it's called qi, the type of energy. In Indian medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, it's called prana. Basically acupuncture, for example, is all about moving qi around in your body in order to sort of make the subatomic or quantum energy in your body unblocked and flow freely and all that. Homeopathy is another holistic healthcare approach that uses subatomic quantum energy in order to support your body and essentially cure, or not necessarily cure, but help with different types of illnesses that you may have. So those are just a couple other examples of holistic healthcare techniques that also use quantum or subatomic energy. But as I mentioned, it is important to understand that this bioenergetic technology, because it's working at the subatomic level, it's not blocking or lowering EMFs. So what that means is if you have a meter that measures EMF radiation, which you can buy on Amazon for $150 or so, they're available. And if you hold it up to your cell phone, you're going to see the meter go up. And if you hold it next to your Wi-Fi router, same thing, you'll be able to watch the strength of the EMFs coming off of those devices and watch them go into the red zone. Now, it's not going to change when you put the EMF protection sticker on there, for example. It's still going to measure the same. But what's happening is at the subatomic level, it is sort of canceling out the negative effects of that EMF radiation, even though it's just as strong as it was before. And again, you sort of have to do it that way because you can certainly block EMF radiation. I mean, you can put your cell phone into, you can wrap it in aluminum foil and it won't have any EMFs coming off of it anymore, but it also isn't going to send or receive a phone call or a text, right? So the approach of protecting yourself from EMF radiation by blocking it or eliminating it just really isn't realistic. You really, the only way to do it is with this bioenergetic approach using quantum energy at that level. Otherwise, there's just really no way to safeguard yourself. So the question that some people ask is, well, if I can't see this thing with my EMF meter, if it's not changing that, then how do I know this is doing anything? Well, the answer is the only way to do it is by taking measurements of your health when you're using the products versus when you're not, and especially when you're being exposed to EMF radiation. So, we've done many of those tests over the years, and we'll talk about one in particular that we did recently. But you can use techniques like heart rate variability measurements, skin conductivity testing, even things like just blood tests, live blood cell analysis, basic physiological measurements like heart rate, blood pressure, pH. All of those things will be affected. So if you, do this measurements down here in the middle, do these steps of taking health measurements, you can see the change that it makes. So for example, the first thing you want to do is measure your health without being exposed to EMF radiation at all. So just take your baseline measurement using whatever of these techniques you're using. Then next, you pick up your cell phone, hold it to your ear for 5 minutes and make a call, like a live call. You have to dial and talk to somebody. You're going to get exposed to a huge amount of EMF radiation during that time. Then you're going to take your health measurements again, using the same technique that you used at the beginning, and you will undoubtedly, without exception, see that your health has gone down with whatever technique you're measuring. Then the last step is now you put the BD Protect product on. either the sticker on the cell phone, for example, or the bracelet on your wrist. And then you do the 5-minute phone call again, and you measure your health for a third time. And what you'll see invariably is that your health is back to where it was in the beginning at level 1, or perhaps even higher is often the case, just by virtue of using the BD Protect product when you're making that phone call. So that is how you really know that it's making a difference, is by actually, where the rubber meets the road, right? We're trying to protect your health, so measure your health. That's what really will tell you. There's another little fun test you can do, which is sort of simple and easy, that just demonstrates that the product is working. In the case of the bracelet, if you wrap it around a glass of lemon juice, you have 2 glasses of lemon juice that are identical. One of them you wrap the bracelet around, the other one you don't. Leave it there for about 60 seconds, and then taste the 2 glasses of lemon juice. The one that's had the bracelet around it is significantly smoother and less bitter and tart, because its energy has been harmonized, which is exactly what's happening with the EMF protection aspect of it. So we commissioned one research institute in Europe to do a study specifically on the BD Protect bracelet, to say, to take these types of measurements that I was just talking about. There were 15 test subjects. They all had the before health measurement, then after the EMF exposure, and then after the EMF exposure with the bracelet on. In this case, the EMF exposure was sitting next to a Wi-Fi router. And there were 5 different types of health parameters that were measured. And in all cases, all 15 subjects, the results were, as I mentioned before, when they were wearing the bracelet, even when they were being exposed to the EMFs from the Wi-Fi router, their health was as good as or better than their beginning sort of baseline health level. And that is really, the important part. And this was a very rigorous, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. So, for example, the test subjects didn't know whether they were wearing a real bracelet or a fake bracelet. They didn't know whether the Wi-Fi router was on or off. So there was no sort of placebo effect here. This was actually for real. And one interesting note is that we had them measure the effect of the bracelet even without the Wi-Fi radiation being present. So just what was the difference between their baseline state of health when they first came in, and then when they just put on the bracelet, what happened? And what they found is that people's health measurements went up just by virtue of putting the bracelet on and wearing it for 30 minutes without even any issue of being exposed to EMF radiation. So in other words, the BD Protect bracelet is going to support your health, regardless of how much EMF radiation you're being exposed to. It's just healthy and good for you no matter what. Now, this is, one of my favorite slides in terms of really demonstrating what happens with EMF exposure. So on the left here is a bowl of cress sprouts. They were placed in a bowl. They were placed next to this Wi-Fi router. That's what this box is. And then they were grown for 10 days in a window. And this is what they looked like after 10 days growing next to this Wi-Fi router. This is the exact same bowl, which you can't really see, with the exact same amount of dirt and number of cress sprout seeds in it. But this time it was grown for 10 days next to the same Wi-Fi router, but with the BD Protect sticker on it. And look at the difference in those 2 bowls of sprouts, right? So the question is, do you want this to be your body on the right, the healthy looking bowl of sprouts, or do you want this to be your body on the left, the sort of sickly looking sprouts? Because that is the reality of it, folks. Like, if you are living next to a Wi-Fi router, this is what your body's going to be like compared to not when you don't have the BD Protect sticker on it. Very illustrative, important stuff. So now let's take a little bit closer look at each of the 4 different products. that we have in the BD Protect lineup. Again, the first one, and probably, the most common is the BD Protect sticker. So that's a simple 1 inch by 1 inch. Actually, it's 1 inch by 1 inch. It's a square sticker basically, but it's a hard plastic sticker. It's not paper. I mean, it's got some thickness to it, but it's thin enough to go, for example, underneath your cell phone case, or underneath your iPad case, whatever the case may be. And it has a sticky adhesive backing on it. So, excuse me, you can just stick it to the back of your cell phone or on the side of your Wi-Fi router or on the bottom of your laptop, whatever the case may be. Any type of wireless device that communicates with a lot of Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or cellular data should have one of these stickers. But the most important, as I mentioned earlier, are the mobile phone and the Wi-Fi router. Those two are broadcasting really strong signals. And so those are the two devices in most of our lives that are emitting the most EMF radiation that we're around a lot. The laptop, the iPad, yes, they are too, but they're not broadcasting. They're just sort of communicating back and forth. So it's not quite as much. Baby monitor, by all means, if you have children and you have a baby monitor, put one on your baby monitor for sure. That would be important. You can move the BD Protect sticker from one device to another. So if you switched cell phones, you can take it off one and put it on the other. That's no problem at all. They don't wear out. All of the products basically last indefinitely. So you don't have to worry about replacing them or recharging them or anything like that. So very flexible, very affordable. The next product is the EMF Protection Bracelet. So as I mentioned before, the sticker is working primarily on the EMFs being emitted by the device to which it's attached. So for example, the cell phone or the Wi-Fi router. The bracelet, on the other hand, is really more about protecting your body so that when it comes into contact with EMFs from any source, it's not going to have the negative effect on your body that it otherwise would. So it's a very flexible type of EMF protection product. As you can see here, it has these 4 extra energy elements on the bottom. So these are really what help make it sort of boost your health, regardless of whether you're in the presence of EMF radiation or not. The first one is basically providing far infrared rays, which are very healthy for your body and sort of making it more flexible and adaptable. The second one is for energetic grounding. So that's essentially grounding your energy to the Earth's energy, which is very good for our health because, as from our ancestry, we were designed to be connected to the Earth and to have the Earth's energy. So it's good for our health. The other one is for extra EMF support. And then the last one provides negative ions to your body to support a more balanced energetic state. Most of us live in an environment where we have way too many positive ions because of EMF pollution and sort of man-made, other man-made factors. We spend too much time indoors, et cetera. And when your ions are not balanced, it's definitely not good for your health. So this will help to sort of return your personal ion balance state to a more natural level. So the bracelet is waterproof, very easy to clean, very durable, but it's also very stylish. So you can wear it out at night, you can wear it to work, and you can wear it to play, basketball or sports or whatever. So it's quite flexible that way. And importantly, you can sleep with it on. It's definitely comfortable enough to sleep with. And that is something that we recommend, especially, if you have the home and office kit installed in your home, then it's optional. But if you don't, then you would want to be sleeping in the bracelet as well. The next product, speaking of, is the home and office protection kit. So what this does is it, as I mentioned earlier, turns your whole house into a safe zone, basically. So all the people in the house and the pets are all protected from the EMF radiation in that house, but not just coming from within the house, even the EMFs coming from outside the house. So for example, from your neighbor's Wi-Fi routers, from the cell phone towers around you, from the smart meters on the outside of your home, all those EMFs as well are being neutralized so that all the people within the home will have that protection. And what you get with the kit is essentially 5 of these stainless steel plates. They're not that big. So the biggest one is like about 3 inches by 5 inches. This one, the big one, goes on the inside of your fuse box or circuit breaker box door. And then you get 4 of the smaller ones, and these go on 4 different outlets around the house. It's explained in the instructions, but basically you put one on each of the 4 outside walls of the house. You stick it to one of the outlets. And how it works is that the energy then in these metal plates is circulated through the wiring of your house, again, at the quantum level, not the physical level. So it's not circulating electricity, it's just circulating its energy. But by doing so, it's spreading its energy out throughout the whole house. So no matter where you are, you're going to have this protected energy, EMF protection energy. The other positive thing, we were talking about negative and positive ions before with the sticker, or I'm sorry, with the bracelet. This BD Protect home and office kit does the same thing for your home. So it will create negative ions to bring the home into a natural ionic balance. So that the negative and positive ion balance is more like it would be in nature. And that's very healthy for us. Number one, we feel better when the ions are balanced. And number two, it actually helps to reduce the amount of air pollution in the air within the home, especially the fine particulate matter. So that's a nice side effect that you get with the home and office kit. And then lastly, we have the BD Protect car. And this is essentially the same thing as the home and office, but for use in the car. In this case, you get one of the stainless steel metal plates. It does have adhesive backing, as do the ones in the home and office kit. So this you can just place in your car, or you can stick somewhere in the car, in the console area, on the side of the door, wherever. But by virtue of having that in the car, it's going to then circulate its energy throughout the car and turn the car into a protected zone where all people within it are going to be supported against the EMF radiation, both coming from the car itself, within the car, the cell phones in the car's electronics, the car's Wi-Fi system, etc., as well as the EMF radiation coming from outside the car. So cell phone towers as you're driving by and things like that. So if you spend a lot of time in your car, this is definitely an excellent product to have, especially new cars today are just full of electronics and EMFs. And then, of course, if you get a couple of cell phones in there bouncing EMFs all around too, then your car essentially becomes like riding around in a microwave oven. So it's good to have that. So that's the high-level overview of the 4 products. Now, one of the questions that we get often that I'd like to just answer really quick is which of the products should I start with, right? So I don't really, for whatever reason, most people aren't going to go out and buy all 4. So I think, ultimately you would have all 4, over time, because they do all work synergistically. And if you were looking for the optimal health support from EMF radiation, you would have all 4. I would say the best place to start generally would be with the bracelet for your body because it protects you from all EMFs wherever you go. And assuming that you use your cell phone a lot, then the sticker for your cell phone. If for some reason you don't use your cell phone that much, then it's probably not as big of a deal. But obviously, most of us have it with us almost constantly. So, and then lastly, the sticker for the Wi-Fi router, assuming that you have one of those in your home, a really good idea. Between those three steps, one for your cell phone, one for your Wi-Fi router, and one for your one bracelet for your body, you're going to be quite well protected. But of course, the home and office is a great idea for everyone too, because of course, all of us spend most of our time in the home, right? It's where we spend the most of our lives. So having that full protection there, plus of course, it works for everyone within the home, including kids and pets. So that's a nice benefit as well. I think that is about all I can think of for right now. So I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen and we can see if we have any questions. I see we have one already. If my refrigerator is electronic and has internet access, should I put a protection sticker on it? So the answer to that question is probably, but only if you've done it first on the more powerful devices in your home, like your cell phone and your Wi-Fi router, because those are going to be emitting significantly more radiation than your refrigerator. A refrigerator, a quote, smart appliance like a refrigerator or even washer dryers now. I mean, they all have Wi-Fi connections. I just got a new ceiling fan for my ceiling. It has a Wi-Fi connection. All of those types of things, they're communicating over Wi-Fi. So they're emitting EMFs, but they're not nearly as high of levels of EMFs as something that's broadcasting radiation, like a cell phone or like a Wi-Fi router. So those are the ones you want to start with. Now, if you were to get the EMF protection kit for your home, then I would even say you could skip getting the sticker for your refrigerator, because again, the home and office kit is going to turn your whole entire home into a protected zone. So if you have that, then certainly getting the devices for the individual products are going to be more optional. I mean, again, I do it. I think it's a good idea, but it all depends on your budget. And then James asks, well, what about the food in my refrigerator? So the answer is the EMFs definitely have a negative effect on the food in your refrigerator. There is no question about it. I mean, EMFs have a negative effect on sort of anything because they're unnatural electromagnetic radiation. Now, is it going to make a huge difference? I would say not huge, but it's a good point. I mean, it's a valid reason for potentially wanting to put one of the stickers onto the refrigerator. Or the other thing is, see if you can turn it off, because a lot of these appliances, there are ways to turn off the Wi-Fi. Not all of them. Some of them it's on whether you want it or not, but you could always try and see. Any other questions that I could answer, please throw them into the chat box. I would be more than happy to answer them.
Marty, I'm feeling pretty deprived right now that our refrigerator is not connected to the internet.
Dave, you are so old school. It's unbelievable. I can't believe you don't have a Wi-Fi refrigerator yet.
I now want to have a refrigerator so that when I open the doors, I can listen to my favorite music from YouTube.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it's for, but yes, it's. I take that back. So I've heard that there are now like refrigerators that basically come with iPads in the door, so you can watch videos while you're cooking or something. But why you need your washer and dryer connected to Wi-Fi, that one I still can't wrap my head around, but it's definitely a thing.
Well, it looks like you did such a great job with the questions that nobody is putting any more with the explanation. I mean, nobody else is asking questions.
Great.
Well, I believe, Marty, that you've completed your presentation, and it looks like you've handled the questions. So let me thank you one more time for the extraordinary level of expertise that you bring to this call every single time we're together. And I just want to emphasize one other little thing, that this BD Protect bracelet, everywhere I go now, I see that it's so common for both men and women to be wearing any variety of different bracelet types on their wrists. And the BD Protect bracelet literally fits in with anything else that anybody is wearing because it looks stylish and it looks great. So not only is it a very healthy thing to have on your wrist, it's also looking very good as well.
Absolutely.
So
all right. Well, thank you for having me, Dave. I appreciate it.
We'll see you again in just a few weeks. And I suspect by that time, we'll be seeing even more snow in the mountains of Colorado and Utah than we're seeing now. So thank you very much.